I have Camille Walker with me, a seasoned entrepreneur, lifestyle blogger.
Tell the story of what I was doing before. How do I connect with my kids outside of technology? How do you make a partnership work? If she could do it, why not me? Quarterly approaches for success.
The way that our brain is actually functioning of women entrepreneurs across the globe.
Like, how do you work virtually for someone? I don't even get that. What is a virtual assistant? Exceptionally powerful women. Lost my job, became a mom.
So today she's going to share her journey, strategies for success, and how she's making a difference in the lives of women entrepreneurs. Hey, you guys, welcome back to another episode. I have Camille Walker with me. You guys, this is going to be an absolute delight. I'm going to go over to I am totally ADHD, and you guys understand this and you love me for it, and thank you. I'm going over to my notes right now because I do not want to miss a thing about Camille. You guys, this is about to be such a cool episode for you guys, I just have to say. So, excited to intro Camille Walker, of course, a seasoned entrepreneur, lifestyle blogger, and the host of Call Me CEO podcast. Camille has dedicated her career to empowering women, especially mothers, to find balance by building virtual assistant businesses and mastering work-life harmony. So with partnerships that, listen to this, you guys, with partnerships that span big names like Disney, Target, and Walmart, and initiatives like the transformative Screen Freeze program, which we're going to be talking about, Camille's experiences offer a treasure trove of wisdom for anyone looking to thrive in both business and family life. So today she's going to share her journey, strategies for success, and how she's making a difference in the lives of women entrepreneurs across the globe. So thank you, Camille, for joining me today. I am super stoked, seriously super stoked to have you.
Well, thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah. She says, I've been looking forward. You guys have to understand. I know we talked about it in the last episode, but for real, it's getting this podcast off the ground has been the craziest. It's been such a busy season of life that we just keep rescheduling things over and over again. And so Camille's like, it's so nice to finally be able to do this.
To meet you. Yes, here we are.
And this is life, guys. So for those of you that are listening, you're entrepreneurial. It happens. So don't beat yourself up over things that happen. Just have the grace to own it, own the outcomes, and move on, right? Whenever she came on, I was like, hey, I'm sorry it took so long. I have no excuses. I'm just sorry. And she's like so graceful. So let's talk about, first of all, what brought you into even creating your podcast in the first place? Where did that come from?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's funny because to tell that story, I kind of have to back up and tell the story of what I was doing before. But essentially, I started my professional career. I graduated in family consumer science education, basically anything a home ec teacher could teach you back in the day, plus financial responsibilities, adult roles, child development, interior design, foods, all of those things. Yeah. But when I graduated, I was actually in the mortgage and finance business. And I did that for 6 solid years before the crash of 2008, which is the year that I became a mother, lost my job, became a mom. And I came home thinking that being a mom full time was what I always wanted. And for years, my whole life, I thought, oh, that's all I want. But I realized pretty quickly by the time my second child was born that I really needed more. I'm a lifelong learner. I love to expand my vision. I wanted to be able to provide opportunities to my kids financially and experimentally, just whatever that meant. And so when blogging was brand new, I call myself a baby in the era of being an influencer. I was a blogger and started that in 2011. And then that was over the next decade. I was working with big brands. I learned it went from what I thought was a maybe career to a very wonderful, thriving career. And in the course of that time, had many brands and also women reach out to me and say, hey, can you talk about my service or my product? I really want you to talk about this because that's what influencers began doing on social media, is sharing what we were liking or seeing or doing. And I thought, gosh, I'd really love to share your story and open up the eyes of so many women, especially mothers who, like me, thought, what else is there? And wanting something else, but not necessarily knowing what that could look like. And so I was on a Facebook forum, and there was a group of women that were lamenting the many random names that women are given: mommy blogger, mom boss, mompreneur. She's like, what gives? Like, just call me CEO.
Yeah.
And bing, I was like, ooh, I love that. So that's where I thought, I'm going to bring on these amazing women that are CEOs in their own right. They're CEOs of their life, family, and business. And we're going to share their stories about how they're finding success and what that looks like.
Yeah. Oh, girl, I love it. You know Rachel Miller, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
I love her. So she's one of my friends. And we were just at an event not too long ago, and they were giving her like some dap, they were saying, well, we've got Rachel here. And then as the whole line of men that they were talking about, they were like, this guy has crushed it and blah, blah, blah. And this guy is amazing. And, like all this businessy stuff, right? Which is why we're all there. And then they get to her naming, they go, and she is just the nicest ever. And I was like, do you know what she has done? Like, do you have any idea? And so, but it goes back to just call me CEO. Just call me out for the goal that I have. Right. And so
Yeah.
when you started the podcast, like what did I love when people start something like that, because you have to have a vision for like you kind of have the end in mind, right? Whenever you create something like that, because you can't, when you started the blog, it was likely like, okay, I'm going to try this thing. Was it a lot like that? Well, I'm going to try this and let's see how this pans out or whatever. And then go ahead.
Yes. I mean, a big part of it too was that I had a friend who I graduated college with who started the blog Six Sisters Stuff,
Oh, cool.
which was a pioneering person before me that was making money blogging. And I thought, well, gosh, if she could do it, why not me? And that kind of put me down the path. But yes, a lot of it was trial and error for sure.
Yeah. And so when you started the podcast, to be able to spotlight women, who were your first people that you brought on? Who were the first, like in your mind, you're like, and I need this person and this person?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wrote a Dream 100. You hear about the Dream 100 list. And a good friend of mine that I actually grew up and danced with growing up through school is a creator of a program called High Fitness. And it's an exercise program that is taken over nationwide. If you haven't done it, it's hit training, but to really fun music. It's kind of like dancing meets calisthenics meets strength training in a way.
Oh, that's cool.
And I loved their story because it was a partnership, one person in the US, one person in Canada. And how do you make a partnership work? How did you make it work in different countries, let alone being two different people? And their story was one that I first shared, and I loved that. And then because of the industry that I come from of influencing, there are so many entrepreneurs in Utah, especially. We are like one of the leading women entrepreneur states. And I've rubbed shoulders with so many incredible women that have been inventors, creators. I've even had doctors and musicians and, just all these different fields that I would have never experienced or known about. But because I did what I did, I was exposed to so many people, and I wanted to bring them to the world the way I saw them.
I love it. That's so cool. I kind of want to pop forward a little bit, which may require also going back a little bit. But before we started recording today, you mentioned something about something that's coming up that you and your sister are going to be working on together. And you said two of my favorite words together in a sentence, and that was brain and performance. and tell me more about what is coming up and what you and your sister are actually going to be working on with women.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm so excited about this. My sister, I have one sister and three brothers, and she's the oldest, I'm the youngest, and we have always loved working together. When I launched the podcast years ago, it was actually with her. And we actually have come together with both of our coaching and performance experiences to offer a group coaching program called SheEO. And what it is it's bringing brain performance psychology together with goal setting and masterminding. And so my sister is actually getting her doctorate in brain performance psychology. And for years and years now, I've been coaching women on strategy, how to best balance your life. We don't like the word balance, we use the word harmony. And so, how do you bring in the harmony of taking care of your mind, body, soul, reaching the goals that you want for your personal, your financial, and your big goals outside of your family and yourself? So, it's kind of marrying the two together. And it is fascinating and so good, bringing together really success and exceptionally powerful women. So I'm just so excited about it.
Oh man, that is exciting. It's because to have the focus we know that that's where real change happens, right? Is whenever we change the way that our brain is actually functioning. When we're able to change that, then it's like everything else is now allowed to change. Before it was there, it just wasn't, we weren't allowing that change to happen. And so like it's just so cool that you get to work with people on that level. Like that's exciting, not just for you guys,
Yeah.
but for the people that you're going to be working with. Like I'm crazy excited for all
Yeah.
of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Yeah. I feel like a lot of us really get swept up in the hustle of what the shoulds and what we should do next and what more is there and how can I perform more aggressively. And a lot of times it's taking a step back and saying you need to be more in tune with your intuition and the way that your brain works, and knowing that you have the tools to succeed and find exactly what you need. It's just tapping into connecting your values with the way that your brain works. And so once you do that, the magic happens with small consistency and repetition. And so it's exciting. I love that it's not the typical like go, 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 and then do this, and then you have to do this, and make sure you show up this many times on social and do this many videos per day. It's not about that. It's about really tapping into your values and why you are the way you are and how to make it all function beautifully.
Ah, I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, tell me about, I want to hear about somebody that you've worked with before, because I know that you do so many things for people. So you guys, like, let's just look at a timeline here. So this is going to be a rough timeline, but started out blogging, which a lot of people do. And some people are still starting out blogging today, right? It's still a lucrative thing. As people are like, well, there's the generative AI and it's not going to matter anymore. That's not true, you guys. Like it's still long tail going to matter. It's still going to matter. But so started out blogging, became an influencer. I talk a lot about JV and affiliate stuff. So that's like people are probably pretty familiar with that. So became an influencer, sharing other people's stuff and then your own stuff, grew into a coaching program, grew into showing people how to become VAs, right? Because I knew whenever I started my own business, and I started at GoDaddy, like I worked at GoDaddy in leadership for a little over 5 years. So as you were starting blogging, I was supporting people like you at GoDaddy, right? I would be on the phone like, and here's how we fix your website, like that, or,
Yeah.
not yours in specific, but like people's in general, the royal you. And so, so then you're showing people how to become VAs, and then also probably how to hire VAs as well, right? Because that was my
Yes.
first hire, was a VA, and I think that should be everybody's first hire. What I know you have probably millions of thoughts on this.
Oh my gosh. Well, one thing that I want to point out is that because I wear so many hats and I still blog, and my blog is still lucrative and making money, which is fantastic. It's one of those streams of income that I never want to let go. Thank goodness. But one thing that I got asked a lot by women over 10 plus years now is, how do I make money from home? How am I able to do all of the things that I do? And how do I make friends? A lot of people are lonely. It's like, we want money, we want connection, we want, these are basic human needs. Yeah. And so the very first thing that I did as I went from transitioning from blogging and then podcasting and then bringing on all these different team members was I was actually training virtual assistants to work in to help me because I couldn't wear all the hats.
Right.
And I'm a mother of 4 and I've never had a nanny. And I work during nap times and early morning and late at night. And I did all the, the juggling that we do. But I was able to do that because I hired a team. And so when I had people come to me, I had 2 camps then. It was, how do I earn money from home? And I thought, well, gosh, if I were to start right now, I wouldn't tell you to start blogging because that's a much bigger undertaking for a longer term payout.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, gosh, there's so many more virtual opportunities of doing admin, social media, community development, ghostwriting, the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
And I wrote this course pre-pandemic where people were thinking, what is how do you work virtually for someone? I don't even get that. What is a virtual assistant? And then COVID happened. And then people look back and they're like, wait, what? Of course, like I needed someone yesterday. What are we talking about? So I wrote a course called 60 Days to VA to teach these women who are coming to me and saying, I want to earn money from home. Where do I start? So I have a whole course, 60 Days to VA, to teach you how to do that. And then on the flip side, I had these women coming in and saying, wait a minute, how are you able to podcast and coach and blog and show up on social and be a mom and, all these things?
Yeah.
And I said, because I hire a virtual assistant. So then it became this wonderful cycle of graduates from my program.
Mm-hmm.
I will actually do lining up with these entrepreneurs who come to me and say, these are the skill sets I'm looking for. Do you have anyone? And I'll bring them candidates and kind of do a matchmaking. And if they hire them, then I get a cut of like a finder's fee for that.
Yep.
So it's kind of this perfect wheel of like, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're gassed and you need help, you need a virtual assistant of some kind, even if it's just admin helping you go through your emails and schedule out social, whatever. That's what makes it possible to be able to really excel in your dharma or in your purpose, be connected with your values, really see the big vision of where your business is going. And so that's part of the coaching piece that helps with both sides, whether it's someone who's looking to work from home or someone who's overwhelmed and needs the support and assistance.
Yeah, that is so perfect. I love a good synergy and a good system within a business where it's like, let me show you how to do a thing and then let me help you make money doing that thing, right? Like it's just like so synergistic and feels so good. And of course, I mean, just having this conversation with you, of course, that's something that you would do. Like, it just seems very Camille to me already. Like,
well, thank you. It's
does.
been super fulfilling because I've loved working with big brands and like there was really good money in that. And then there got to be a point where I was like, gosh, I kind of teaching's in my bones. Like that's my degree. That's my lineage on both sides of my family. We are educators and mentors. And so being able to do this and help women on both sides of that coin has been so fulfilling.
I love it. I love it. Let's talk about screen freeze. So tell me about the concept of screen freeze. I kind of teased it out in the very beginning and said we would circle back to it. Totally want to hear you say it.
Oh, well, this was an interesting time of my life. It was when my third child was about 3 and 4. Mm-hmm. And to this day, he's now 10. He has always been super sensitive to screens in a way that my other 2 children at the time were not, to the point of having violent behavior, talking negatively, having almost explosive reaction to screen time that really opened my eyes of what effect screen time can have on our kids in different ways. Yeah. And I wouldn't say that he was even consuming a ton of screen time. It was just enough that even a few hours a day for his little mind, it was a challenge. And it took me, I created a system with him called the 5 pillars of health. This is very basic, but it's, have you exercised today? Have you eaten well today? How was your sleep? What was your screen time? And let's talk about it. Those are the 5. So if he ever got into a funk, I said, okay, let's talk about the 5. What are they? And we'd go through and check them off. Well, because of that experience, we as a family decided it was time to do a screen freeze for 30 days. And it was very upsetting to my children at the time, but so eye-opening to what it did for their little brains and their ability to increase their imagination and to have calm and peace. And So I created a framework to teach other families how to do this, as well as a companion with that of contracts for older kids, like if you have cell phones or gaming systems or different things like that. So I wrote this program, and I'll tell you, when I released it, it was received not very well. Honestly, it was either I got two main reactions. One was, I've already got this figured out. So we have this schedule of screen time. Or the other camp was it brought up a lot of shame or uh, resistance to trying something new. This was this was probably in year 2015, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And so on the flip side of that, I thought, well, gosh, if this is putting people into a place of feeling shame for what they're consuming, why don't I build something that's a little bit different on the flip side? So I wrote a journal for parents and children to do together called Time for Us. It's available on Amazon. And it's a companion journal for parents and children to connect about emotions, imagination, and their day. And really creating a space. Journaling has been a really big piece of my life and also my connection with my kids. And so when I flipped the script and talked more about how to connect instead of like this screen time monster, that was much more well received. So it was almost like I don't regret creating that thing, and it had its moment and it's still available. But on the flip side, it was the journal that really, I think people really were craving, is how do I connect with my kids outside of technology, so that it became a positive spin on that rather than how do I try to get a rein in on this screen time situation.
Yeah, that's smart. It's wise of you to even notice that there was that the switching and messaging was going, because what you were after was the impact, right? You weren't
Right. And
after
the
being
connection.
right. Yeah, you weren't after like being right with the messaging and whatever. It was about the impact. And so like I hope that people that are listening right now, I hope you hear that if it doesn't resonate immediately, it doesn't mean it's bad and it doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means that the messaging may not hit them the way that you want it to hit your person, and that's you could still have that impact in their life. Because a lot of people that are listening right now we're impact driven entrepreneurs. Like we want to help, right? We want to serve. And so you're not don't quit, don't stop, just change up the
Yeah,
messaging, right?
absolutely.
um well, shoot, I have so many things I want to ask you. I feel like I'm gonna have to bring you back after 4 back and forths again. We'll bring
Let's
you
do it.
back
That's
again.
fine. I'm ready.
I love it. I love it. Well, tell me what, because we're going to have all the links for the different things that you've talked about in the show notes.
You can find more information at sheo.co. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it is at camillewalker.co. And that's my website as well, my personal website, to find my blog and my podcast and my offerings.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for your resilience in our going back and forth to actually get on here. This has been a total delight. I'm going to have you back. We're going to talk about some more,
Oh, I love
because
that.
there's a well of stuff that needs to be talked about. So, yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, you got it. You got it. Everybody, if you're listening, if you're listening, all the links are in the show notes right now. And then also anything that you want from me is at withmartha.com. We've got all sorts of stuff going on there. So you're welcome to go check it out. But we will see you next week. Adios. Bye-bye.